The truth is, if you're over 40 years old and you're playing golf, you probably are not hitting the golf ball the way that you once did when you were in your 20s. Well, the good news is you've come to the right place, because we're going to talk about things that we can do as we age, as we get older, that can help us continue to play some great golf. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Cope, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy. And this video is for my golfing friends who are 40 years and older and love to play the game, but maybe you just don't hit the golf ball like you once did. We're going to talk about why that might be, and more importantly, some great ways to fix it in a specific drill that you can take to the golf course next time you head out. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and be sure to leave a comment, especially for my golfing friends. Hey, I'm over 40, I'm almost 50 years old now, and I'm looking for some tips myself. So if you have some suggestions that have worked well for you as you've gotten older and you're playing golf, be sure to put those in the comments and share those with our fellow golfers, because we can all help each other out a little bit. So let's dive right into it. As we get older, what are the two things that are keeping us from hitting the golf ball the way that we once did? Number one is balance, and number two is club head speed. Now, what does a typical golfer do as we get older? Well, we lack flexibility. We don't move like we once did. So what happens? Our swing gets a little bit shorter, the backswing gets a little bit shorter, all right, and our balance isn't as good as it once was. So what happens? We've all seen this, and maybe this is you sometimes. You make a golf swing, and when you finish the swing, your weight's on your back foot, you almost kind of tap the ball, or if you do hit it solid, it's kind of a weak slice to the right. So those are the keys things that we want to address here, is that lack of mobility, that lack of club head speed that's being caused by probably our swing getting a little bit shorter. So tip number one for you to help you with your balance is simply to make sure at your feet you have a little bit of what I call toe flare. So when I'm sitting there, my lead foot, which is my left foot, has a little bit of flare, a little bit of turn to it. So I don't know, maybe 15, 20 degrees, something like that. And this is a big one. The trail foot, though, also has at least 15 or 20 degrees of what I call toe flare also. All right, now the reason the trail is so important is because as we age, we lose some flexibility in our hips, shoulders, things like that. So when you point that a little bit, that allows you to turn your hips a little bit easier and make your backswing a little bit longer and get a better quality turn. So that's tip number one. Take the toes and just flare them a little bit. Now the next tip I want to give you has to do with the length of your swing. And I've done some videos on this before, but the length of swing in general, all right, a little bit longer swing, assuming we hit the ball solid and all the things are equal, is going to travel, further down the fairway than a real short swing. I mean, it makes sense, right? If I only swing the club to here, all right, and I hit a golf shot, it's not going to go as far as if I swing the club way above my shoulder, all right? Within reason, and we're hitting the ball solid in the center of the face. So here's a simple thing that you can look for that can help you get your swing a little bit longer if you feel like it's too short. And it has to do with the direction of the lead arm. So that for me is my left arm. All right, so when I get set in here and I take this club back, if my lead arm works in and low and around, notice how it's below my shoulders, this is about as far as I'm going to be able to get that club back there because of where I'm at age-wise, flexibility-wise, body type, and whatnot. But if I make that same swing and I take my lead arm and I get it a little bit higher, okay, now I can travel this club much further down the circle here, much higher, get my hands higher. Now my golf swing is also much longer. All right, so the second tip that I want you to be aware of is when you're swinging the club, be aware of your lead arm. If you get your lead arm a little bit more straight back and up, your swing will naturally get a little bit longer than if it works inside and around. All right, so those are two great tips. Be curious to see what you think about those. If you've tried those out or see how they work and report back, or if you got some other ideas on what might work, has worked well for you, be sure to share that as well. All right, so the third tip I want to talk about has to do with allowing us to also increase our turn, increase our length, and create a little bit more club head speed. And oddly enough, it also helps us with our balance. Now, I've done a lot of videos on this topic, and it has to do with the trail leg, because there's a little bit of, I'm going to call it differences of opinion on that. Now, when we're set in there, here's what we're talking about. My trail leg, right leg for me, I'm going to say for sake of discussion has 30 degrees of bend. All right, just for our conversation today, right? Well, if I keep it at 30 degrees, which some people actually advise other golfers to do, I just don't agree with that, but they tell them to keep that the same, that's going to really restrict your hip turn. Now, that's okay. you know, if you're 18 years old and you're super flexible and super strong. But this video is for my golfing friends who are 40 and over, right? We don't move like we used to move. So we've got to take that trail leg and just let it release a little bit. Now how much? I don't know, maybe it goes to 15 degrees. It doesn't have to go to 0, but a little bit of release allows you to turn the hips, which allows you to turn your chest and your shoulders more, and allows you to get a little bit longer swing. I've also found that it helps with balance, because when you get that, I call it like a loading mechanism. So they kind of turn, let the leg release a little bit, that allows the hips to turn, and it really improves tempo and really improves rhythm. So we've talked a little bit about toe flare, we've talked a little bit about the direction of the lead arm, and a little bit of the trail leg. So what are we going to do next time we head to the golf course? To kind of tie all that together. Well, this is one of my favorite drills. Typically, I'll call it, you know, we'll just call it the continuous swing, all right, the continuous motion. So here's how it works. I've got just a 6-iron right here just for practice. You can do this with any club. Matter of fact, one of my favorite clubs to do it with is the driver. So you get set in, and what you're going to do is start with the club just a little bit in front, maybe 2 or 3 feet in front of you, and you're just going to let the club swing all the way to the backswing, and then you're going to go ahead and swing it forward, and then from here you're going to swing it all the way back, forward, and then one more time all the way back and forward. All right, so it's 3 continuous swings. So let me go through that. So I'm set in here. I start forward because I started forward because I want to create some momentum. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Now what I'm doing there is I'm just learning to move with the club. So it's going to drastically help your balance. Because the first couple times you do it, you might feel like you're kind of moving and wobbling around. Now what that's telling you, what your body is telling you is, okay, something's out of balance here. Something's not matched up, meaning you're not moving with the club. But when you get it in continuous motion, what's going to happen is you're going to instinctively find your rhythm and you find your balance. The other thing that's going to happen is that you're going to start getting some more length to your golf swing. And that club's going to start swinging up in a nice natural position right where you want it. Okay, so this is a drill that I've worked many times with many of my students and works fantastic. So hey, I'm over 40. I love playing golf. I know you do as well. These tips are going to help us do that and are going to help all of us over the age of 40 continue to play some great golf.